When you're buying a house, is a home inspection really necessary? I'm Jenny Hendricks with Century 21 Prestige Realty, and let's talk about home inspections. What are they, and do you really need one? First, I've had a number of buyers ask me, do I need a home inspection because I'm getting an appraisal? So what's the difference between an appraisal and a home inspection? So an appraisal is ordered by your lender, and its basic function is to make sure that the lender is protected, that the asset that they are loaning on is not going to be less than the amount that they are giving you to purchase that home. So an appraisal is really designed just to determine value, make sure that that value is at least the purchase price or at least the amount of the loan that they are going to give you. Now, a home inspection is not required by any third party. It is usually built in as a contingency in your contract, and make sure that your agent is doing that if that is what you wish to have done. This is your opportunity as a buyer to determine the condition of the home. Is there any deferred maintenance? Are there any repairs that need to be done? And whether those items rise to the level of a further negotiation with the seller. Keep in mind that if this is a contingency in your contract, and I hope it is, you'll have a deadline by which all of this needs to take place. Now, let me just kind of pause here for a minute, because in the market that we have been in for the last several months, there have been buyers who, when you get into sort of a bidding war, when there's multiple offers and a buyer wants their offer kind of to float to the top, they've been waiving the inspection contingency. That's a conversation to have with your agent in the situation that you are in. I am not a fan of waiving that inspection contingency. Even if you don't ask the seller to make any repairs or, do some other kind of concession, you really need to understand the condition of the home, what it is that you're buying, and if there's going to be any additional out-of-pocket expenses. I will tell you that there is a really wide range of things that inspectors report, just depending on their background, their training, even what software they're using. This is actually kind of a fun topic for me because I've got horror stories that I could go on for days. I mean, inspections turn up just the most amazing things. Things like the inspector's going to go down into the crawl space if there is one. I had a transaction one time where there was 6 inches of water in the crawl space and the seller didn't know. It had been a slow leak and it had been, building up and building up, and that deal died, by the way. On a new construction home, some people say, well, do I really need an inspection on something that is newly constructed? That's up to you, but I will tell you that I have had home inspections done on new construction, and one time there was no insulation in the attic. I don't think they had done that on purpose. I think it just got overlooked, but that was a real issue. It was remedied and the transaction moved forward and everything was fine. So an inspector is going to find everything from, the kitchen faucet is loose and maybe there's a small leak in the bathroom, to, hey, your house is sinking and that's an issue. And that actually happened with one of our clients just a couple of months ago. The seller thought that it had been remedied. The inspectors went in and discovered that it was probably still moving. And at that point in time, the buyer did decide to get a geotech inspection, but the house was moving and they were able to cancel that transaction within that deadline. The earnest money was protected and moved on to a different property. course. So the inspector has gone in, they've put the home through its paces, they've checked out the furnace, they've checked out the attic, they've, checked out the plumbing. You receive this report, and now what? Okay, so review it with your agent. See if there are any deal breaker items. Like, is there something that is just so horrifying you just don't even want to move forward? If that's the case, then you have the opportunity at that point to cancel the contract. So once you have negotiated those repairs and you're certain that the seller is going to take care of them, if that's the route that you take, it's fine to put them on an addendum, because that's how you require the seller to make those repairs. There's not necessarily a right or wrong way to negotiate that. It depends on the situation, on the transaction, and what needs to be done. Once those repairs have been done, you do have the opportunity to do your final walkthrough, just to make sure that they are done according to the way that you have negotiated it in the contract, if that is the route that you have chosen. So that's one of the reasons that we do that final walkthrough prior to signing, is just to make sure that those repairs have been done. Of course, we've talked about this before, making sure that anything else in the contract that needs to be there is there. Anything that is removed that needs to be removed has been removed, and so forth. So that final walkthrough is really your opportunity to check for those repairs. Inspectors in Utah are not required to be licensed. Inspectors in Utah, there's no standard to become an inspector. You can, be one thing one day, and then the next day you can call yourself an inspector. So it's really important to do your research when you are hiring a home inspector. Look at their website, look at their experience, talk to your agent, talk to, friends and family who have been through transactions, and get theirs. So the home inspection is really a very critical part of your due diligence as the buyer. And it is something that should be used as a really good tool in your buyer's toolbox. Just always make sure that you're paying attention to that deadline. Once that deadline is passed, you do not have the opportunity to negotiate those repairs any longer. I hope that was helpful. I'm Jenny Hendricks at Century 21 Prestige Realty. We'll see you soon.